As you learn about the narcissistic pattern, it's also wise to reflect on the much healthier alternatives. Now, below you're going to find a link to my new extensive course called Ready, Set, Connect. It addresses both the mindset and the skills involved in gratifying relationships, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Whenever people would come into my therapy office back when I had my counseling practice, obviously the reason that they would be there is because things were difficult. They had problems that just seemed to be so entrenched that they couldn't seem to get out of it. They carried a great deal of pain or confusion. And so much of what we would do in therapy would be to try to sift it out and figure out the whys and what fors relative to all of that. But ultimately, as the therapist, I would constantly want to remind them we want to have an end game here with respect to what we're doing in therapy. As we look down the road to where you're going, what's the better alternative? You know that you've had some mistreatment and disappointments, but where do you want to go? Now, when we ask a question like that, somewhere in that whole equation as we're trying to sift it out, the answer is going to focus on the word love. The whole goal that I would have with individuals, ideally anyway, would be for them to ask, is there anyone that I can exchange that sense of love with so that it can be the pathway that we walk upon together? That's a sweet deal. Who could possibly say no to something like that? Now, before I get into that, and I have a lot to say about that, I want to give you two illustrations. And they involve the end of life with two different individuals. Again, I'm thinking, where are you going with your life? One is, I went to a funeral at age 19. It was my paternal grandmother, Cora Carter. And one of the things that kept coming out as I spoke with individuals and people talked during the funeral service was, Cora had to be one of the kindest people that you ever knew. She clearly knew the essence of love, and whenever she had the opportunity to speak love into other individuals, then she would do so. She was helpful, she was nurturing, she was a great cook, she offered encouraging words, and that's so significant because the men in the Carter family, just being honest, could be very difficult. And yet she had this ability to love, and that became her legacy. That's what she was known for, and that's what people would remember her for. Fast forward about another 10 years after that, I went to another funeral. And this was the mother of a friend of mine. And there were only about a dozen people there because this woman had died. And she had not only no friends, but she had multiple enemies. Nobody liked her. She had cut off virtually every person that was inside of her family. She was known for being one of the meanest people that you would ever know. She was caustic. She was bitter. If somebody came to her front door, she would chase them away with curse words. And it was so interesting when I was at the funeral, and like I say, there were only about a dozen of us there. The person speaking the eulogy was fumbling around trying to find something good to say about her. And he finally popped out and said, well, she liked flowers. And I was sitting there thinking, well, who doesn't? And that's as much as they could come up with. And her end game was she was just simply known as a mean person. You'd like to think that as we try to figure out where am I going with this life and what am I going to be known for and how are people going to summarize my life, then somewhere I want to make sure that that word love and all of the many ingredients that go along with that is connected to my name. Now, I want us to think about the whole concept of narcissism. What are the primary characteristics of narcissism? And you've heard me say before, but the narcissism basically is an anti-love state of mind. When we talk about a narcissist, we're talking about somebody who's entrenched in their own selfishness, their entitlement, their willingness to exploit other individuals. They have a condescending attitude towards others. They maintain a false front. You will not get to know them very well. They're critical. They're easily angered. They have very little empathy for other individuals. But then when you contrast that and you say to that person, and hopefully you would be the kind of person that would want to go into this space, it's like, well, there are plenty of other alternatives that I'd like to introduce to you. I'd like to be tuned into you. I'd like for us to have a caring interaction. I'd like for us to be approachable with one another and helpful and authentic and have a sense of responsibility and reliability as we engage with each other. And even in those moments where we have our differences or conflicts, we would be able to do it in a constructive and uplifting and responsible way, and we could have a sense of equality. How about that? Does that sound like a pretty good, sweet deal? And the narcissist is like, nah, I don't think so. And their natural inclination when you say, here's a sweet deal that I'd like to offer to you, their response is no. Now, the overt narcissist will just point blank say, no, I'm not interested, at least not with you. The covert narcissist will let you think, well, I'll pretend to be interested in your little sweet deal of love, but only if it means that you're going to show admiration for me, and then over time, as it proves not to be what they want, then they'll think, never mind, get out of here, go away, I don't want you what you have to offer anyway. See, my question is, how in the world could that individual deny or reject the sweet deal that says, I'd like for us to have a loving engagement with one another? Now, if these individuals can be honest, there would be quite a number of answers that they would give to you. For example, the narcissist, if they were honest, they would say, well, I'm not going to take your deal because, you see, I don't trust. They have a cynicism that's at the base of their personality and their interaction style. And so they're thinking, if you come to me with the offer of love, I doubt it. I don't think you're legitimate. Another reason that they would turn it down is, if they could be honest, they would say, well, I can't accept that sweet deal that you're offering because, you see, pain defines me. I've had a lot of pain. I've had a lot of disappointment and hurt. I don't think I believe in that stuff that you're offering anymore. Or in addition, they might say something like, well, if I enter into your offer of love, I don't know. That seems like a risky thing. It would require a lot of work, but I don't know that I want to be that vulnerable with you or anyone else. That just doesn't seem to be anything that I could accept. And sure enough, there is a risk when you go into the space of love, but there's also reward. And it's like, no, I don't believe in that. Likewise, if they were honest, they would say, well, actually, the alternative of power and control, I kind of like that. In fact, I like that more than whatever it is about love that you're trying to peddle, or the alternative of hanging out with the beautiful people, the in crowd, the people who are admired. I like that too. And it doesn't matter if I have to be superficial or if I have to buy into all sorts of priorities that really in the long run don't really matter that much. I think I may go in that direction instead. Or it could be the reason they reject your deal for love is it's like, well, I kind of like the idea of being an achiever, somebody who's going to outperform everybody else, because, you see, that would allow me to claim my position of superiority. I'm better than so many other individuals. Look at me. Look at what I've accomplished. I think I may go in that direction instead. Or it could be, if they're honest, they reject your offer because it's like, well, frankly, I'm not that interested in knowing you. And if we're talking about having a true love experience, it would be a two-way street. I don't really consider you somebody that I would particularly care about, or I just want you to be enamored with me, but I don't want to have any kind of approach toward you in that way. Or another reason that they would turn you down, if they were honest, is, well, frankly, I'm too angry. Anger is just right there at the edge of my personality. And if I have to go into a space of love, that means I'd have to deal with my anger and all the contempt that goes with it. Not ready to give that up. That's part of that power thing. I don't want to let go of that. Or It may be that they would say to you, well, actually, I'd rather just leave people alone in general, particularly on the personal level. I'd rather just sequester myself and go it alone. I've got too much chaos and too much pessimism on the inside of me, so that's more appealing. Go away, get out of here. You see, they would, if they could be honest, they would say love requires too much effort and self-restraint and patience and reeling in my negativity and accepting other individuals in the midst of difference. So the narcissist, when you say, I have a sweet deal that I'd like to offer to you. I'd like for us to engage in love, in mutual regard, in mutual respect. I think we could make that work. And at the end of your life, at the end of my life, as we're trying to summarize who we are, then that would be part of the story. And the narcissist is like, you're going to have to look elsewhere because I'm not buying any of it. I don't want your deal. I reject your sweet deal. You know, at the as best you can, I'm hoping you can decide, I'd like to offer other individuals love and goodness and kindness. Perhaps you've heard the old saying, the power of love is much better than the love of power. The narcissist puts it entirely backwards. So when you make that offer to the narcissist, and it's like, I've got a really sweet deal and I think we could enter into together. Also, you would need to say, though, the choice is yours. You have the option to receive my offer. You have the option to turn it down. And if you turn it down, which the narcissist will do, I understand. And I'll just move on. Perhaps one day you'll reconsider. But you know what? If you don't, either way, I still choose love. Now, I hope that videos such as this can give you some good things to think about in terms of who you are as you contrast yourself with that whole pattern of life that we know is narcissism. If you've not already hit the subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so because I'd like to keep more videos coming in your direction, food for thought. And so please hit that subscribe button and we'll keep them coming to you. And hopefully the cumulative effect will have a good take on you. In addition, it may be that you'd like to seek out some therapy. Because when you're dealing with something like this, it would help for you to have somebody that can unpack it with you. You know, I've been sponsored for years by the online therapy service, betterhelp.com. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists that would assist you. It's affordable, it's accessible, it's effective. And so if that's a need, I would strongly encourage you. We have the link that's below, and if you go through the link, you get a 10% discount on that. Please get on the first month. Please go get the help if that's something that you would need. Likewise, I put together some courses, and each of these has multiple videos and written documents, guided questions, ready, set, connect about having good connections with others. This is me about establishing boundaries when necessary, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We also have my webinars, my podcast, many articles. They're all on our website. We have my books, lots of resources. I applaud you if you're the kind of person like Cora was, that at the end of your life they can say, this is a person that knew the essence of love. I hope you're not going to be like that other person that was just known for meanness and everybody's like, I didn't even notice she was missing, but okay, that's fine, she's gone. I don't want to end like that. I'm hoping you can be committed to love. I hope that you offer it and extend it to as many people as you can. Some will receive it, some will not. But as you know that that's the only way you want to go, and that's what you're committed to, and that's what is at the centerpiece of your personality, I hope that it positions you to be a person that still knows the capacity for contentment, and ultimately it would lead you into your place of peace.